I just wanted to make a quick video to show off a way that I found to get a little bit of extra quality out of your game. Might be a little controversial because it does, have AI upscaling. Uh, some people for it, some people against it. I've just been toying around with it because I found this free program. It's this right here. It's called Upscale. You can get it online for free. Um, so I found a way that with pretty much all modern emulators, you can dump the textures and then you can upscale them with this program and get some pretty good results. Uh, this is just kind of an example here of one that I've run through already. Uh, and we could go here and restart from the beginning here, and you can see this is the little area that I've already dumped the textures from and run. That it's cleaned up the UI a lot. It's obviously not perfect. The better the textures for the game are to begin with, the better they upscale. Any kind of small artifacts or anything that exist in the original are gonna just become more apparent as you upscale them, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about if you look at the coins on the UI down there. In the original textures, there's a little bit of fuzziness to that original texture, and as it gets upscaled, it keeps that. It doesn't get rid of it. And I'm going to show you here what this looked like without the texture pack on. You can see the difference here, and I'll just go ahead and restart from the beginning, that first section there again, as a comparison, so you can see the difference between the with the AI upscaled textures and the without. I think in a lot of cases, I've run a lot of games through this already, just kind of messing around testing. Uh, some games it makes a pretty noticeable impact, pretty big difference, and then other games not so much. I've tried a couple of different emulators out, including Dolphin, PCSX2, Flycast, Duck Station for PS1 games, and I feel like the results that I've gotten is that the PlayStation 2 emulator and Dolphin give you the best results for this. But I'm just going to kind of show you the process real quick, go through it, and show you what you do. So you're going to pick the game that you want to dump. For instance, I've done Shadow the Hedgehog here. You're going to go into your graphics settings on here, and for pretty much all the emulators, it's a very similar process. You just have to find where in the menu you go to do this. But you're going to turn on Dump Textures. Now keep in mind, depending on your hardware, the game might have some lag and some hiccups because it is dumping the textures from the game to a file, so that's going to impact your performance. You're going to want to play through the whole game, go through all the menus, do everything, because you want it to dump all the textures for the game if you want to do it for the whole game. You might can go online and find where someone has already dumped all the textures for the game. That might speed the process up a little bit. But we're going to go back to the game here now, and we're going to go to resume, and you're just playing the game like you normally would anywhere there's a texture, and you can do this in batches if you're just wanting to kind of see the results that you're getting. You can play through a little bit of the game, and then you might get to a point where you're like, oh, I haven't done this area yet, because you can load the textures that you've already done, and then you'll see the difference because of the quality difference between the upscaled and the original. And it's hard to play the game and talk and think at the same time. Anyway, just for example, you play around a little bit, you can pause it. You don't even have to close the game out or anything. From there, you can go straight into this upscale program. You're going to want to make sure that you're on batch upscale, and then on your AI model, depending on what game you're doing, you might want to go through and try out a couple of these, but for me, I have gotten the best results with the digital art model for doing video game textures. You might have better results with one of these other ones if you have a game that's going for a more realistic view look, or you might need to do individual textures through different ones to get the best option or to get the best results. But for now, we're just going to go ahead with the digital art. And with the image scale, like I was saying earlier, the better the textures the game already has, the better they upscale to higher amounts. I'm just going to go with an 8 times upscale. My computer can handle going higher than that, but I feel like this is kind of the sweet spot where I'm getting a better looking texture and I'm not getting as many of those AI artifacts. Now, if you want, what I would recommend if you're trying to do this legitimately to put out for other people to use and not just for you to mess around with, you can go in and clean up some of the textures for like HUD elements and stuff like that before you run them through the upscaler, just getting rid of any like little artifacts or jagged edges or anything like that on the original texture before you run it through. That does help. But for now, we're going to go here. We're going to go to select textures, and they're going to be in your documents, your PCSX2 for this emulator, textures. This emulator separates the games by a certain number. So for like PlayStation 2 games, this is kind of like their code. It tells you the region and then what the game is. And you're going to want to, for the first option here, the first folder, you want to select the dump folder. And then for your output folder, you want to go to that same spot, but you're going to click the replacements instead. Now, I've already done some of the textures here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rerun it just to show you what it looks like. And we've only done a small section of the game. I done the main menu, and then I got into this first section of gameplay here. But once you do that, you're going to go to the replacements folder, and you're going to have just, if you haven't done any textures yet, you're going to have just this folder here. And then you'll take it, and you're going to want to cut everything from this folder and move it into this base replacement folder here. And then it's going to prompt me that there's files that it needs to replace. I'm just going to skip those because I've already done them. But you can see when I played around a little bit, there's a few of these new textures that didn't get done last time that got done this time. And now you go back to your PlayStation 2 emulator. You go back to that graphics option, to that same tab. And instead of dumping the textures, now you're going to want to load your new textures. And as you can see from earlier, and now it's cleaned up the UI a lot. And you go back into the game here, you can see a lot of the textures have been upscaled. And to me, I think it looks better. And obviously, the better these AI programs get, or maybe if you have access to one that's not free that's better, you might even get better results than this. But I think this makes an improvement to the game myself. So I'll leave that up to you. But we'll actually, let's go back to the main menu now and just see the difference on the main menu, because I did go ahead and go through. Oh, actually, I need to, and then boot back into the game. And these are all the textures that I've dumped and just did. So play through the game, dump as many of the textures as you can, then run it through the program. You might want to go through, if you see a texture that looks bad, you might want to run it through individually, because you can just run through individual textures. But for the process to take as short of amount of a time as it did and the little bit of effort that goes into it, I feel like these are pretty great results for not that much effort. And I'm not gonna like upload these textures online or anything. Just I feel like this is something anyone can do for themselves. So I'm not gonna bother with anything like that. But I'm about to do this for a lot more games, just kind of mess around and see what kind of results I get. And if let me know how it works out for you in the comments. Let me know if you've had any luck with any other games that seem to do really well with this, or let me know any games that didn't work out too well for you either. Maybe something that you run through that you were hoping would turn out good, but it just looks really bad. So far, I think I had one game that I ran through. I can't remember what it was. It was one of the games on the PlayStation 1, and the textures, when I upscaled them, they were just all messed up in the game once I loaded in. And I think that's just more based off how the PlayStation 1 emulator handles the textures versus Dolphin and PlayStation 2. But yeah, that's it. I just kind of wanted to show this process and see what you guys might think about it, because I feel like it's a really quick and easy way to make your games look a little bit better.